What could be better than building a real estate empire with none of your own money? What if you could build an empire and just recycle the same $20,000 over and over again? Folks, people are pushing BRRRR as the end-all, be-all solution for building a portfolio if you have no money. Casey and I are here to tell you, yes, it is a sexy strategy. Yes, it can work and it can be amazing, but it is not a newbie strategy. Casey, this is an important topic. I see so many newbies drawn to the BRRRR method because I can build a portfolio with none of my own money. I get it all back. But you and I both know it's got a lot of more twists and turns for newbies. What do you think?
Yep, it definitely does, Michael. I mean, I get the allure, right? You get to recycle the same down payment, the same, $30,000 to $50,000, $70,000 over and over and over again. And you can do it so fast, and you can, quit your job in a couple years and live off of all this BRRRR. It sounds great on paper. In theory, it works, and it does work, right? But in my opinion, the BRRRR method is a very advanced strategy. It is not for the beginners. The amount of beginners that fail on this, and as a matter of fact, I did a video very similar to this that I posted last week, and I've already gotten some comments on my YouTube comment section. That's like, some lady was like, I'm a lender and I see people failing with this all the time and losing money. And other people are like, I did that too. It was a bad mistake for me to try for my first one. It is not for beginners. And we can talk about some of the reasons why. But one reason I think it's not for beginners is because a lot of the BRRRR jobs that are out there, they require intense renovation. In order for you to recycle your cash and to really do the perfect BRRRR, you're really not buying safe and habitable properties that just need some lipstick. You're doing major renovations, and that requires, contacts with contractors. That requires in-depth knowledge of property, building costs, and, local labor costs, and not to mention materials costs and time frame. There's so many ways that this can go wrong. But we can start with talking about the main part of BRRRR, which is the renovation phase. And I think that's the biggest section that people get wrong in the beginning.
Yeah, let's actually just go through the acronym. Let's start with the B, which is the buy.
Exactly.
Right? I even think they get it wrong on the buy. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have done a BRRRR that their level of due diligence was like one Zillow search and maybe asking one other person what the ARV, or after repair value, is. And they're like, done. And the other thing when they do the buy is they're not calculating all their costs. Yes. Right? When you do your purchase, you need to include your repair costs or make ready. You need to include your holding cost. You need to include taxes, insurance. You need to include delays. There's so many things that go into the purchase to get to the number that could even work. I believe most newbies, they're swinging a miss on the first step. They're buying it wrong, let alone what we're going to talk about next. What do you think on the buy?
Yeah, they're definitely buying it wrong. And one thing that I think people forget, I know they forget because I hear it, is first of all, DSCR loans are a very good tool to use for BRRRR. Most people don't know about them. And when you're thinking, and when you're new, when you think the only way to get a loan is for a traditional loan, they may not qualify for that ARV refinance. They might qualify for the initial purchase, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not thinking, can I qualify for the ARV refinance? And so people get stumped there and they fail, but they don't realize there's other options out there. So not even understanding all of your loan options and failing at that, not being able to refinance and thinking now they have to sell it. I mean, that's just such a stupid little easy thing, but just not having the knowledge. It's like, dang it, if only you knew. But I can't tell you, like, at least 4 or 5 times in the past year and a half, I've heard of people telling me in the Instagram, they tried to do BRRRR and they couldn't qualify for their ARV and they had to sell the house. I'm like, you could have gotten a different loan, but they didn't know.
Yeah. Again, when I go back to the BRRRR, well, let's just use some very simple numbers. Because again, when you're at the end of this, you're trying to refi out all of your cash. That's the magic, right? I'm going to take a pile of cash. I'm going to use it. And I'm going to get it back, if not more. And if your ARV on a home is $100,000, or let's say $200,000, that means you've got to be all in for like $150,000. Because the refi loan is going to be at 25% loan to value, right? You're going to have that equity position. You're not going to do a 100% loan or even a 90% loan. Refis are very different than purchases. And people don't understand that a refi is different than a purchase. So again, if your exit is 200 You got to be all in. Worst case, 150. Purchase, repairs, holding costs, this, that, the other. And again, I think most newbies strike out at step one, but let's go to step two. This is where it really gets wacky, and that's repair. How many newbies have you known that thought the repair was $8,000 and it turned out to be closer to 80 grand? I mean,
Yeah,
come on, people. You don't know what you're
so
doing. You
many.
don't know what costs. You don't know what to look for. You got to rewire the house. Your plumbing's old and falling apart, and the roof's gone. The AC's been stolen. And, when your budget is off by a factor of 10x, you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
And the repair one is just wild that people make that mistake so often.
And I think like a big issue is that a lot of newbies who want to get involved in the BRRRR, they've never had any sort of experience with renovating. They don't even own a hammer. They might own a pink one. Like that's how bad their level of renovation experience is. Like seriously, they don't DIY. And a lot of people don't DIY anymore. And so you're not gaining that experience. And so the problem there lies in that you are relying on the contractor's estimate.
Mm-hmm.
You're relying on what they're saying it's going to cost. And that is someone say in the comments, how many times have you gotten a bid from the contractor and had it come out at that amount? It's like zero.
No, I've probably had literally hundreds of bids for projects over 10 grand. And I bet you I can count on one hand the number that came at that number. Yeah.
And I'll say too, a lot of times contractors, if you are a newbie and you don't have that name behind you that I've done on tons of deals and the contractor is really wanting your business and you're just some new random person, he's not going to really take the time to do a very quality and thorough bid and estimate. So he may not even go to the property. He may tell you he went and never went and just looked online or just walked in and out for 5 minutes. And so you're getting some just really thrown together estimate. And then you're going to go buy a property on that and hinge all your money on this deal when you aren't even confident or even know how to read an estimate or even know if that's really what your property requires. So to me, this is the biggest part where people fail is they don't know how to fix a house and they don't know how to tell if the contractor is leading them down the wrong path or not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people strike out at the buy side, as we talked about. But where I see people really go off the rails is the repair side. Not enough quotes, don't knowing what costs, getting caught with surprises. Penciling at 8 and it ends up closer to 80. These are all things I've seen happen lots and lots of times. If we go to the next step, that's rent. Again, when you're starting this process, you have an expectation of rent. I see two mistakes here. One is you estimate too high, and two, you don't do any due diligence. You just rent to the first warm body. Both of those things are mistakes and can come back to bite you hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of those are really good ones, Michael. And like we could definitely elaborate. I think a big problem with the rents is that people are renting for what they want. And when you're a new investor and you've not bought rentals before, and I get this a lot, I hear this a lot, people say, well, I'm going to rent it for what I want or what I want to get in rent. Well, it doesn't matter one iota what you want to rent it for. What matters, it's going to rent for what the market dictates. What's your competition? What are the other choices that tenants have to rent? Why would they choose your place over another place? So when you're considering doing a BRRRR, you're trying to think of what are my renovations going to be? They have to be in line with the type of rent you want. You can take a C grade original property and you can turn it into a B grade condition property for X amount of rent or an A grade flipped beautiful property for an A amount of rent. And all of those, either one of those is going to give you different types of rent and it's going to cost certain amounts to fix up. And you have to know, I don't know what you call it, your rent to cost, ratio, whatever. Is it worth it to turn it into a B or worth it to turn it into an A? What are you going to do to renovate it to get those rents? You can't just guess and say, well, I'm going to fix it up and get $2,000 a month. Says who? Like to me, that's a big one. People don't actually think it through. And when you're doing the project, just like a homeowner fixes their house, you get emotional. My house is worth so much more. My property is worth this when it's really not. And they have to think outside the box and or actually rather stand away from the property and look at it as an outsider, not get too emotional on what and how great you think your property is and how much we should rent for, this massive amount when it probably won't.
Yeah, again, on the rent side, it goes really back to the repair and the purchase price. It's again, what remodel or make readies are you doing? Right? Are you going to spend the extra on granite where quartz is just fine? Again, I've seen plenty of people over upgrade that and do things that don't produce rent. I've actually seen people, myself included, add features to homes that actually increases the cost. The biggest example for me is garbage disposals. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, we took one of our fourplexes and we added garbage disposals. Those things were out 6 months later. I had all these service calls, all these things come to be, and it's like, forget it. It's costing me money having what I thought was an upgrade there. So again, you've got to know what's right. You got to know what's right for your tenants. You got to know what upgrades pay and what are a complete waste. And then finally, we get to the end of the story where a lot of people get got, and it's the refi. So talk about that one.
Yep. So refi, I think people think they're going to leave 20% in the deal as a down payment. A lot of companies want you to leave 30% in the deal as equity for refi. And
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, if you didn't know that, you're kind of screwed. And I think you have to me, the biggest risk with the BRRRR method is the fact that you have this long time frame between when you buy the property and you fix it up. What's that? 4 or 6 months? Let's be real. A newbie is not going to get this done in 6 weeks. Okay. It's going to be a 4 to 6 month project when you're brand new. And there are things that are out of your control. Market conditions are out of your control when you use the BRRRR method. We could have a market crash. Your property's ARV might not be what you have to have it at to cash flow and or pay back your investors, which are the people, if you did borrow private money, you have to be able to pay them back. And if you cannot refi and get the money back out to pay them, you're SOL. I know a lady, she's in my MIG investor group, my Memphis investor group. She was flipping, so she wasn't BRRRRing, but same similar thing, just selling it to someone else, not herself. And the property has been sitting for 6 months. And she's like, Casey, I'm about to lose my own house because I'm having to pay my private money or hard money lender 12% interest every single month. And this property has been sitting for 6 months. She's like, I can't even give this thing away, right? Wasn't her fault, right? The market went down. Those higher priced homes are not selling like they were. Interest rates haven't come down like they thought. So there are things out of her control that have led to this like real big financial problem that she's in.
I love the fact that you brought up timeline because that was something I would have missed if you weren't here. So awesome job. Yeah, the BRRRR is a best case 6 week for the pros like you and I. It's really more 4 to 6 to 8 months, and a lot could change. A lot can change in that time frame as you're sharing. And again, I think you're absolutely right. Refis are very different than purchases. You can get a DSCLR and purchase with 20% down. You're not going to get a cash out refi with 20% down. It's going to be 25 best case, and to your point, probably 30. And again, people just don't know this going in, and especially if I have talked to so many people that borrowed money from family, right? The typical, hey, I got mom believes in me. Mom's going to give me 40 grand. And you get to the end of the story and mom's 40 grand is still in the house. Can't get it back. It's stuck. Yep. It's dead equity. Now I hope mom doesn't need the money, but she might. And, your options really start dwindling away. You can sell the property, you can create a second mortgage. Whatever you can to kind of protect your mother in this case. But yeah, BRRRR is not a strategy for newbies. There are so many twists and turns and so many spots you can make errors. I do want to highlight it is awesome. I've done 50 of them or 40 of them, and it can work. I know people that make it work, but please don't make this your first foray into real estate investing. It's not the time to try to do this strategy if you haven't done it before.
Yep, I agree. I think if you are a beginner investor and you're trying to find your first rental property, you need to do something that's going to create a solid foundation. And I like to use the analogy, it's like baseball. With the BRRRR method, you're having to hit home runs every time, right? How often do you get up there with the bat and hit home runs every time? Not likely. And so as a beginner, that's probably not wise when you have most people have all their money that they can afford to have in real estate in that first deal. A smarter method for your first property, get on base. Get a good hit and get on base. Like I use the cake method, right? Find properties in a quality neighborhood, build that quality, like good foundation, steady foundation, good neighborhood, place that cash flows, a place that appreciates so you can raise the rent, right? A place that's going to give you great tenants that are going to pay you. And not only that, are going to take care of your property, because the little hidden cost that nobody ever talks about in real estate is turnover costs, okay? Because I talked to a PM company, I know this is running long, but I talked to a PM company last year because I'm like, oh, I'm going to get rid of some of my properties. I'm tired of managing, They told me to expect to repaint the interior every 2 years. And I dropped it. I'm about dropped it. I didn't really die. But I said, every 2 years, you're kidding me, because I have not, in 10 years now, next year, we're coming up on 10 years, Michael, of me having rentals.
Wow.
I know. 2016, we bought our first one. And I have yet to repaint an entire inside of a property, except for my tenant horror story. Okay. So every other one that I didn't mess up besides that one has only ever had touch-up paint. Tenants are your number one team member, and they are the ones who are going to take care of your property. So you need to get started with a solid foundation, a good quality neighborhood, one that appreciates and cash flows, one that's going to put in good tenants so it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to own the property and you're regretting it and wishing you would sell it. Get that solid foundation, get on base. And then when you get some more experience, sure, go do the BRRRR method and test it out.
There you go, folks. Again, at the end of the day, the BRRRR method will always be there. But once you have the experience, once you have the network, once you have the ability to do it, it's always there if you can find the right property. It's not one of those strategies that only works once in a while. It is one of those tools you can use forever. So again, invest the time, learn the lessons, protect yourself. Casey, where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth. Go check me out, subscribe, and see what videos I got.
There you go. Thanks, Casey.